Hey guys, Poro here with another guide, this time for Sett jungle. Prior to making this video, I was actually under the assumption that Sett jungle was pretty common. However, according to League of Graphs, it's his least played role and nobody really touches it. It peaked at 4% popularity back in 2020 and has been significantly under 1% ever since. Nonetheless, it's a pick I run all the time, even in ranked. Sett has basically everything you could ever want from a jungler in classic all-around fashion. His clear is pretty fast, he's healthy in the jungle, his ganks are good, he wins a lot of 1v1s, and he can scale well with the right builds. His objective take is unusually fast as well, and he can even split push quickly if the situation is that dire. Let's start it off by going over his clear. The key factor to this is that his Q deals percentage max health on hit and also acts as an auto reset. This ability allows you to quickly take the single target camps down. His E and W are both AoE and they provide a stun and a shield respectively that allow for your clear to remain healthy. On top of that, you regen more the lower your health gets, meaning it's pretty difficult to execute even if you mess everything up. His full clear wraps up before scuttle spawns, so his clear speed is never an issue. Make sure when you're clearing camps that you play around with the grit mechanic. Taking a damage causes his grit bar to rise, but it starts decaying after 4 seconds. Timing your W after taking damage for 4 seconds will ensure you get the most damage and the biggest shield. Next to go over are his ganks, and he has 2 abilities before level 6 that can help pull this off. The first is his Q, which gives him movement speed towards enemies. This allows you to gap close much faster than an unsuspecting enemy will be prepared for. Once you're there, you can line them up with the minions for an E stun, which at this point will usually net a kill or a summoner spell. Ganks after level 6 are even easier, as once you're behind an enemy, you can carry them all the way back across the lane with your ultimate, in which even a flash won't save them due to your E stun still being up. Jungle skirmishing is rarely a problem, and you'll find that most top laners who can jungle will function like this. They constantly have to be able to 1v1 in top, so they are usually built well for 1v1s in the jungle too. Sett can threaten kills at scuttle contests since he can line up the scuttle with the enemy jungler to get stuns. Even without the stun, Sett is difficult to take down due to his shields and sustain. Come mid game, Sett can take Herald and Dragon very quickly. The objectives have enough health that they'll max out on the threshold at Sett's Q, and the damage could start stacking as high as 400 per auto attack. Objectives will disappear faster than the enemy can react to it. It's also Sett's Q that gives him the option to split push, as turrets disappear quickly from all of the auto resets. Now we can go over Sett's builds, and there's a lot of them. The standard one that I usually go is akin to the mathematically correct Sett build, where I focus on getting the true damage on my W up as high as possible. I like to go Gore Drinker into Titanic Hydra, followed by any combination of health, AD, ability haste items like Black Cleaver, Spear of Shojin, Chempunk Chainsword, Warmogs, Sterix, or Hullbreaker. Boots are almost always Ionian boots for this build, which works out even better in the jungle. Remember that when you go this build, you want to avoid defensive stats. The Hullbreaker I mentioned is usually a last resort kind of deal for when you need to split push to win, but I don't go it on normal occasions. The W damage is based around maxing out your grit bar, and the grit bar is based around how much damage you take, so you need to ensure you're actually taking enough damage in fights by not building armor or magic resistance. One adaptation for this build that I see sometimes is going Heartsteel as the mythic. The potential for higher damage is there, but it takes longer to ramp up and is weaker in earlier stages, so pick your poison. Another build variant that Sett jungle can go is the more fighter duelist style with the core of Stridebreaker into Blade of the Ruined King. This build is based around Sett's auto attacks, and you use the slow that both items provide to deal more Bork-empowered autos, shredding squishy champions and tanks. This build is definitely more carry oriented, but will leave you a bit squishier in fights. If you really want to go ham, the third build you can go is Prowlers into Bork, a full one-shot assassin build that kills people with just your Q. The downside to this build is that obviously if you're caught out, you'll be one-shot. Other variations of this assassin build can include Kraken Slayer or Gale Force, depending on if you think you can auto attack more or need gap close. The great thing about these builds is that you don't even have to decide what items you're going until you're in game, because your rune page is stagnant across all playstyles. If you load into the game with Conqueror as your keystone, all of these builds work. Lethal Tempo might be better if you know for a fact you want on-hit styles, but Conqueror is a good all-around pick for if you want to flex your items depending on the situation. The rune page I like to go is Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, and Last Stand, with Hex Flash and Cosmic Insight as your secondaries. Hex Flash allows for better gank setups, but if you're all in on scaling, then Sorcery secondaries with Transcendence and Gathering Storm is your best bet. For tertiary runes, pick up Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and Scaling Health. Ability Haste over Attack Speed is contestable, but farming does feel better with Attack Speed. Many of the runes here are based around amplifying your 3 core stats of Health, Ability Haste, and Attack damage. Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand all make sure your W is hitting more consistently, while Conqueror and Cosmic Insight are making sure that your W hits harder and more often. The mathematically correct builds will tell you to go Grasp of the Undying as your keystone, but definitely do not do this in the jungle. Grasp Sett is better in lane, but jungle Sett will never get enough value from the rune to make it worth your while. That's about all I have for you. Your playstyle is really up to you with this pick, whether you want to assassinate, split push, or carry teamfights. I stream on Twitch sometimes and also have a Discord server, links to both of those will be in the description. I also have a Ko-fi page if you want to support me more, and any tips are very appreciated. Bye.